Living green or sustainably is about more than saving on your electric bill and doing your part to protect natural resources. It is about a safer and healthier life for you and your family without sacrificing style, quality, or budget. This is a movement to provide all of us with clean air to breathe and water to drink, safe, healthy food to eat, and places to live, and energy to run the places where we live, learn, play, and work. The Everyday Green Home Podcast helps you get the value of green for you, your family, and your community. Whether it's green homes, green living, or the people who make it happen, join me, Marla Esser Close, to learn how green and sustainability practices and products work for you and our world. Oh my gosh, there's an app for that. Right, you guys? There's an app for everything right now, it seems like. Matter of fact, I don't think I can go to a website that they don't ask me to download an app. But how about an app for your house? How about a whole bunch of apps for your house? Well, smart homes, which I know we're all hearing a lot about, that's exactly what they do. But what do you do about connecting all that stuff? So I'm Marla, the Green Home Coach, and I have our resident expert, Tony Pratte of the Sound Room, and as y'all know, my co-host on the series that we do here on Everyday Green Home. And Tony, this is just changing so fast we can barely keep up.
Well, I work in this industry, and it's constantly changing for us. So the average homeowner, it's almost like deer in the headlights of how quickly the technology is changing. When you think about it, technology from like the 60s, 70s through even to the mid 90s really didn't change much. But now it's just going by leaps and bounds every month, it seems.
Well, like all of our tech is. So y'all that are looking at this, so any of our audio guests, if you join the Love Your Everyday Green Home Facebook group, we put the behind the scene video recordings of these out there. So you get to see all the visual clues of what we're doing, because I do play show and tell on these more frequently. So,
please don't scare your audience away.
Here, how's that for old time?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Okay. So for you guys listening, I'm holding up.
Are you going to hit somebody with that?
I know, right? I'm holding up an old remote from our cable company that is what, 4 by 8 inches, 4 by 9.
Makes a really good doorstep.
It's like as big as my head almost, or as tall as my head. And fortunately, these didn't stay around very long. But you remember the universal remotes?
Oh, yes.
I mean, that was kind of everybody's, right? I mean, that was kind of old school smart home. Or, when I was growing up, Marla, go change the channel.
Oh, yeah. Did that a lot. Or if you remember the first remote controls, they had the wire.
Yes.
So you had the keypad and the wire that was tied to the box.
So let's start here. So why are we talking about TV remotes and smart home? Let's start there.
I would say we're talking about it because it's everywhere. You cannot get away from it.
Well, yeah, but kind of didn't all the smart home stuff start with entertainment? Because that was the first smart stuff I had, was my entertainment system.
You can make the argument that it started two ways: security.
Oh, good point.
And then entertainment. And it was two distinct pathways.
Okay. And so this is my app for our home security and home automation system. So ours is actually coupled from our cables and internet provider that also provides security. And now they've added a whole home automation piece onto it, but it's proprietary.
Yep. So you'll have your provider. There's a few other providers that do the same thing. Yes, you can do that because it's proprietary, means they're the only ones that can work on it. You can't work on it yourself. They have to. You can't bring in an outside contractor. They have to do it.
And so if I want to do another system, even like the DIY ones like Ring, or I can't remember the other one I saw at the big box store the other day.
You basically have to have a separate system.
I do. And then I have separate apps for both of them. So like this home automation app through my cable company, so I can control my front door lock because we have a lock, my lights, but I have to put their special light bulbs in my lamps. in order to do that.
Sure.
I can control my thermostat, but I have to use their thermostat, which I liked my old one better. And then, of course, I can control my security aspects.
Okay, so you said something that let's talk about first.
Okay.
The thermostat. To use it, they have to use their own thermostat. One of the national, actually global security companies is the same way. And this is horrible in new construction. Here's why. In new construction, you bring in a partner like our company that works with the builder to develop the proper infrastructure for smart home. One of which is making sure what we use works with a thermostat provided by the HVAC contractor.
Oh, yeah.
Here's why, and this is extremely important in new construction. The minute an outside party changes thermostats, you have basically voided your warranty on the HVAC system.
Oh, because it's not part of the installed system?
It's because it's not installed by the HVAC contractor. And we all know that first year warranty period, right?
Right.
So here's what happens. You call the builder, hey, my HVAC, my thermostat's not kicking on. My HVAC is not kicking on. I don't know what's going on. So he or she calls the HVAC contractor, puts in a warranty request, whatever. They send out the tech. They get to your house. They walk over. They look at the thermostat. Oh, it's not ours. They leave.
And this is where a lot of smart and controlled home, and y'all will explain the difference in a second. Mm-hmm. This is a lot of it's where it's starting at, it seems like there's key entry points. So the HVAC system is one key entry point. Mm-hmm. Security is another key entry point. And then I kind of still feel like entertainment's been another entry.
So there's really two different ways of looking at it. You have, and security kind of ties into the environmental. So you have your basic environmental control. Okay. Where all that really does is security, HVAC control, door lock.
So infrastructure kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Then you have more the entertainment side, which, it can control security. It can control lights. It can control HVAC,
like lights and
door locks
systems and TVs.
Right. It does that. But the big thing is it does the audio side and the video side too.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
So that audio side would also I guess that would include, no, it wouldn't include cameras and stuff because that's really more your security side, your infrastructure.
Well, either one can handle cameras as well. I
want to talk through my cameras with mics and speakers.
So you have to understand the big difference is the video side.
Okay.
Okay. You might be able to get some small light audio through the environmental side. The environmental side will never do video.
Okay, so now that we've led all y'all down this Primrose path, so here's my basic understanding. And y'all have to remember that I've been hanging out with Tony for a long time. And every time I think I've got this, something changes. So if you're
Don't blame me, blame the manufacturer.
Yeah, but the point is if you're scratching your head a little bit right now, that's okay, because this is a fast moving part of the industry. And as we all know, tech is, oh my gosh, going fast. And this is the intersection of home and tech, right? Is that a good way to think of it?
Well, right now we're in what's known as the fourth revolution. We're in the digital revolution.
Right.
And this is no different than the industrial revolution of the 1800s, early 1900s. It's just, this is our time. It's a technological revolution. It's a digital revolution. It's basically how our life is evolving.
Okay, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole for a second. You remember I think you and I did the presentation back to the Jetsons?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's exactly what it is.
Okay, so I'm dating myself, y'all, but Hanna-Barbera, king of cartoons back when I was a kid, was the creator of the Jetsons. And there was a couple of articles that were out a few years ago that were equating technology that was in the Jetsons cartoons to what had really been developed. And that was 4 or 5 years ago when we did that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe.
And so there's even more now, but it's really fun to go back and look at these old quote unquote cartoons and shows. I know a lot of people do it like with Star Trek, and to see what we've actually come up with. And We're not
If you
quite a
think about it,
Jetsons home, but we can do a lot.
well, if you think about it, technology is rooted in science fiction, and
Yep.
science fiction is rooted on what is coming technology-wise.
That's
Okay.
true.
It might not be in our lifetime, but it is coming.
Yeah, we still don't have hover cars.
And when you think about the Jetsons, what was one of the things they did all the time? They video conferenced.
Which is totally commonplace now.
Commonplace now.
I remember when my kids were growing up, we kept wanting to find some kind of video phone or video system because several of the grandparents were out of town. And it was too expensive. I mean, it was several $1,000s on both ends, and it just didn't make sense, and it was cumbersome. And I mean, I FaceTime with my kiddos all the time now. Thank goodness, because my grandbaby's 1,000 miles away.
Think of it this way: 10 years ago, for a company to do all this, you're talking tens of thousands of dollars.
Don't you remember those video conference offices that everybody was
yeah.
setting up, and you could rent them out?
Well, now you just give somebody a laptop, give somebody an iPad.
Well, heck, we're doing it right now.
Yeah.
We're recording on Zoom.
Yeah, on our laptops or
Yep.
my laptop and whatever you're using. But
Right.
it's not that big a deal anymore. This is just how technology works. You know, it starts out expensive and people find a way to make it cheaper.
Okay, so now that went down the Jetsons rabbit hole, let's back up. So smart home, the idea of smart home is individual components that can be driven remotely, mainly by an app or a computer.
Well, almost.
I mean, an app is a computer, sorry. Like a handheld device, like your smartphone and iPad.
Almost.
Okay.
You're close. Basically, all smart technology means is there is something in that house that you can control through a third-party device, whether it's an app on a smart device. We don't even call them phones anymore. They're smart devices.
Right.
Or through voice control.
Ah, that's
what
I missed.
I am not going to say the name because I don't want to activate mine, but I'm going to use another name. So if I want to tell Google to turn on the lights, I can tell them to turn on the lights.
Correct.
And it doesn't have to be connected to anything. It's by itself.
So if I call out her name from here, will she respond to me?
She might.
Should we test it?
Well, actually, she won't. She won't hear you because I got the
you're on a headset. Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
your headset's so small, I forget you're on it.
Yeah, trust me. I get close all the time and it'll pop on. So.
Well, and I mean, I don't talk to Siri a lot, but hey, Siri, yep, there it is on my phone.
Mm-hmm. So that is all what just basic smart technology is. I heard it.
I know.
You have a third-party control of a device.
And the reason to have that third-party control of that device?
Well, there's a lot of reasons for it. You might want remote access to it. If it's a thermostat, maybe on vacation. So remotely, I can turn the temperature down and I can turn it up on my way home. That way the house is ready to go when I get there, instead of, everybody remembers as a kid being on vacation with the thermostats turned. Yeah, you get home, you reset the temperature and you go out to dinner, right?
Right.
Or you do something.
Right.
And then you come back a few hours later.
Okay, so that's comfort, safety, and saving energy.
Efficiency.
All with a remote access to a thermostat.
Well, yes. Then you have just general efficiencies, general safety, whether it's security, whether it's lighting. You know, not everybody wants to come home to a dark house. Some people want pathways at night, right?
You forget to turn the lights off all the time and it'll remember for you.
Yes, it will.
So tech can make up for our behavior that we don't do as well as we should.
We can automate our behavior with it. Or it's convenience. Hey, somebody's going to drop something off at the house. I don't want them to put it on the front porch. I want them to put it in the house.
Right.
Call me when you get there. Text me when you get there. I'll unlock the house.
Yeah.
Tell me when you're out of the house. You know, it's not that hard. And some of it's just for fun. You know,
what? Fun? Did I even write fun?
Oh, yes. Some of it is absolutely just for fun.
That's okay.
I will tell you that right now. But that's okay. If it's fun and it gets you to use it and it changes behavior and makes them better, then it's all right.
Well, we're already spending money on our toys. So if we can make our toys work better for us and help our lives to be better, then yay, verily.
Exactly.
Okay. So smart home, we got that. You were driving these devices with a third-party device and an app over some kind of remote communication. So the next step from smart home, and this is a term we don't hear as much, y'all, but it's actually the more accurate term, is connected home.
That is correct.
So explain this one.
So there's two ways to look at the connected home. The first way is everything in the home for the most part, and this is really where things are going in the next 5 years. Everything is connected to the internet. It is absorbing data. It is transmitting data. It is working through the internet. Okay. So that's connected to the outside world in the house.
So internet, and this is, if I understand the distinction correctly, internet is what happens outside of your home or business or location and is connected to the bigger world. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Because there's a difference between internet and Wi-Fi, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Wi-Fi is the signal inside your house
or building or wherever you are.
Exactly. That you connect to wirelessly. The internet itself is the big global arching, network that allows my new refrigerator to transmit data to the manufacturer, and it lets it know when parts are starting to fail. Now the manufacturer
so communication is what's so critical. Okay.
The manufacturer can take that information, transmit it to the company that installed it and said, hey, this is still under warranty. It's getting ready to fail. Now what happens is that company calls you, hey, Marla, your refrigerator, it looks like we need to come out and replace part Z. What's convenient for you over the next couple of weeks?
And we're horrible about maintenance, folks. We're horrible about it. I mean, I've been in the maintenance side of homes for, 12 years now. And this stuff, we're just not good at it.
Yep.
We wait till everything breaks. So having this preemptive capability, that's pretty amazing because that's how we make stuff last longer, right?
This is where things are going. This is where we get into the term smart cities and all that. That's another discussion. But so that's the external view of connected home. Okay. The internal view of connected home. So inside the house.
Okay.
Or inside the property.
Okay.
Okay. So it could be outside on the pool deck, whatever.
Right.
So it's localized. All right. That local version of connected home means not only are all the items connected to the internet, but they're connected to each other via the same app or the same third party. All right. So
like on my phone, when I can control the lights and the thermostat through the same app, that's a connected version.
Right. Well, what it does, it allows you to do what they call scenes. Okay. I set a scene. So maybe I have a good morning scene. So I hit the button or say, Google, good morning.
Right.
And what happens is, I'm going to run you through a possibility. Shades go up, the door unlocks, the security system disarms, pathway lighting to the kitchen and the master bathroom turn on, the coffee pot starts to make coffee, music turns on, and the TV in the living room kicks on.
Okay.
That is all something that can happen in a scene by saying one thing or hitting a single button.
I have scenes and we haven't done a ton with them. I've done a little bit, like I have automated lights at night and things like that, but I need to go explore that more.
We do a lot of demos with scenes and we show them right off the bat. So it's the reason why you have the connected side. Okay.
Well, and this is a reason I know this has got to be why this is becoming so popular with aging in place.
It is.
Because as we get older, it's, there's just additional opportunities to enhance our life or turn on lights. Like sometimes it's hard to get up for an older person. And so they may not have to for every little thing.
Well, just earlier in this episode of the podcast, you talked about people forget to turn off lights so you can do it remotely. Well, you're getting ready to leave, right? You're leaving the house. Google, goodbye. Now, shades shut, music turns off, all TVs turn off, lights shut off, except maybe the front porch light or a specific light you have that you want on. Okay. Thermostat adjusts, security system arms, door locks.
It's the easy button.
It's the easy button. This is why things are connected. Okay. And the reason for connected versus me hitting 6 or 7 apps at one time.
Because that's a lot to do.
Oh, it is. And, we get to the point where we use systems where we can mix. So I might have 4 or 5 systems inside one single app, but then I might have 2 or 3 items that won't necessarily reside inside that app. I'll use a weird example, Delta faucet.
Okay.
A voice-controlled Delta faucet will never sit inside of my app. It just will not.
Okay.
There's no reason for it.
Right.
However, I can tie it into the overall system through that third-party voice control trigger.
Okay.
So I can make a scene, a turn on the faucet scene, where when I say it, it'll turn on the faucet and turn on the stereo too.
Yeah. So now we get into a point that all of us are grappling with, and that is crossing systems. So for instance, if I have a lot of Apple technology and it's Siri based, but if I have also a lot of Windows, Google based stuff, then I've got Google. And then of course we've got the other one that I can't say her name or she'll come on. Oh, wait, you're on your headset. But then we've got the Alexa version. And then I'm going to guess that the systems that are the controlling hub have their own. Now, I know a lot of these controlled home scenarios and systems are tying into Alexa and Google.
So those two are the primary platforms for voice control.
Right.
There is another one that's being developed and it's coming out that goes more toward the custom integration side, which is more companies like us, versus the more DIY side, which is the two main players. And I say two because Apple Siri really hasn't got into the home market.
Yeah,
like
they have
Google or the other one that I can't say right now.
I can say it on my end, you guys.
Oh, how about this?
Talking
Google
about
or
Alexa.
Amazon. I can say
Right,
Amazon. I just
right.
can't say the other name. Anyway,
We know this because we did this one day and things started happening in Tony's house.
yes, they do. Anyway, where I was going with this is while you have a lot of people that want to do a lot of this themselves, they will use one of the larger DIY voice triggers.
Kind of as their backbone.
Now, systems like us, well, we, depending on the size of the project, the cost of the home, we have more basic environmental systems that will operate well with Amazon and Google.
Okay.
Or and the homeowner can play with them. They can get in, they can do some of their own custom programming later on. They can add parts to them without us. It's more of a DIY experience, but with more of a custom or initial install and support.
You probably don't have the time, resources, or know-how to research and shop for better options for you and your world. That's why I've done it for you. The Everyday Green Home Shop is my curated collection of better products for a safer, healthier, more comfortable life in your home. Through simple buying choices, you can change your home easily. My book laid out the how to do it. Now, the Everyday Green Home Shop gives you a place to put those ideas into action with your buying choices. I invite you to look through the online shop and choose an item or two to swap for something you usually buy for your home. Once you make a selection, it will take you to one of my trusted affiliate sites or the Amazon site you already use. Super easy. Products on Everyday Green Home range from indoor-outdoor rugs made from recycled plastic to my husband's favorite reusable silicone straw that fits in his pocket. I look for third-party independent green labels or go through a trusted third-party verification process to validate the products I curate for you. Go to everydaygreenhome.com for what you need to create a stylish, safer, and healthier home easily. So there is a rising awareness that we're putting a lot of electronic stuff, especially Wi-Fi based, in our homes and around our bodies on a daily basis. And there's, really not a lot of research done on what that body burden is, but there's a growing amount of, hey, maybe we should pay attention to this. And so we're talking about a lot of this stuff being Wi-Fi basically, right? In our homes?
Yes, because not everything can ever be wired. So what you're talking about, they have coined a new term for this called the crowded home, because the home is crowded with technology and it's only going to get more crowded.
Yeah, like what's the average amount of, was the average device per person is like 2 years or something?
10 years ago, each home had about 20 devices that were connected to the internet. Now, you probably have 20 in one room. I want you to think about
my house has that many.
I want you to think about this.
I have to go
where it's going. Right now, you have a newer car that has computers in it and all that, and it needs to be updated. What do? Take it to the dealer, right?
Oh, but the newer ones update themselves.
What does Tesla do? They drop an update through Wi-Fi into your house overnight.
Yep.
Everything is going to be on Wi-Fi. Your refrigerator, your stove, your dishwasher, your washer dryer. If it's electric and has any kind of an on-off, it will be on Wi-Fi eventually, which means your entertainment, your TV. How many people cut the cords, right?
Right.
And they go just through streaming. Yeah. That's awesome. But you are going to have the proper infrastructure in your house to support all these devices.
Oh, you make me think, oh my gosh, there was a few years ago, we were at my sister's and I think for Thanksgiving, for a holiday. I mean, there was 12 or 15 people in the house and we couldn't watch the ball game. The guys were having a fit, and it was because everybody was on their phones.
Yep. I was going to say, you got what's known as the grinding wheel of death. It just spins and spins and spins and spins. So this is how you solve that. If you have a smart TV, if you are going to stream, if you're going to do any of that, if it has a data jack on it, you make sure you have a hardwired data jack connection into your TV. Okay. It does not matter how many people are on the Wi-Fi. As long as you have that hardline connection, you have a continuous stream of internet going to the TV. And
this is a good reason to consider hardwiring your computer as well. And mine's not hardwired because I'm too far from the modem, but we've been trying to figure out a way to get it hardwired because I'm online all the time.
Everybody seems to think that, everything's going wireless. Doesn't mean everything wireless in your house is going to work at the same time.
Well, and it also, so how much internet you purchase from your internet provider is important, right?
How fast?
How you use that internet in your house and the way you spread it around, the equipment that you use to do that is also important.
It's everything from what kind of equipment are you using for your Wi-Fi network? Are you using extenders or are you using access points?
And y'all, we'll put some of Tony's recommendations for equipment in the Everyday Green Home shop. So there'll be links in the show notes to some of the recommendations of Tony's that he makes for equipment. And we're about due for an update. So I'm going to look forward to it.
And what'll be on there is more for the DIY market.
Right.
Just because you can't buy the equipment that I use in homes, but on your own.
We haven't even had time to talk about lighting, but that's another one that a lot of people have started pulling into their home systems.
Yes, only because of the whole on off, you can control, how much energy, you can control the dimmer, things like that. Now, lighting is its own animal, especially with LEDs.
Yeah. This is its own podcast, honestly, folks. We should do one.
I will tell you, if you are this is the only thing I'm going to say about lighting. Most lighting control replaces switches, and you replace it at the switch level, not the bulb level. While those are wonderful and they work well, the next step up is you swap out the switches, whether it's a smart dimmer or a smart switch. Problem becomes with dimmers and LED light bulbs. Since they do not carry enough wattage, because that's the whole idea, right? They use less. You have to buy certain levels of replacement bulbs. If you just go out and get the cheapest lighting light bulbs you can find, your lighting system will not work.
Yeah. Unintended consequences.
I can't tell you how many times builders have called me up and says, hey, there's something wrong with my system. And the first question I ask is, did you just replace the light bulbs? Yeah, I did it last week. That's your problem.
Wow.
And then we usually have a couple bulbs we recommend, but we also tell them if you have a lighting store, go there. like in St. Louis, a Wilson lighting, a Metro lighting, that's your first step.
Yeah, I've got a place here that I like.
Yes, the bulbs are more expensive, but guess what?
But they work.
If you've got a lighting system, you need this.
So there's a lot of DIY, both for smart and connected homes. Yet there's also the built-in custom work like y'all do that often goes in when a home is being built or remodeled, correct?
Correct.
And this kind of a system, when it's built like this, what's the difference? Why would people want to do this? Like if we're getting ready to remodel our home, why would we want to consider having somebody like y'all come in and put in a whole control home system?
There's a few reasons. First one is, are you as a homeowner, and I mean, not just you, but anybody that's living in your house, the main people that are going to use whatever you're putting in, smart enough to manage and support your own stuff?
Okay.
That's number one. There's a lot of people out there that can handle it. There's a lot of people that can't. So my one system designer always does it best. So here he is. He sells these really nice systems, these professionally done systems, but his house is full of DIY stuff. He is an expert of it. So if somebody brings up, oh, I want to use this thing I saw in the art, 9 times out of 10, he has experienced it. He has seen it. He's tested it. He's played with it. He knows all about it. And he will be in a meeting and he'll get a text from his wife saying, I can't make this work. Well, he is the support. He is the technology administrator of his house. So he'll have to excuse himself, answer the phone, text whatever, tell her exactly what to do. 2 minutes later, everything's working, everything's fine. And he'll look at his homeowner and say, are you comfortable doing that on a daily basis? Gotcha. If the answer is no, you need a professional system.
So does a professional system make the most sense if you're doing a certain amount of automation and connectivity? And what is that point?
Okay, so I will tell you this. If all you're trying to do is a couple lights and maybe a door lock, maybe a thermostat, not so much. You can do a lot of that on a DIY system. However, if you have a larger home, like 4,000 square feet or more, and you are putting in a lighting system.
Yeah, okay.
That's professional, okay? If your house can handle a Wi-Fi router and that'll cover it, you can do that as a DIY.
Okay.
If you have a larger house, you have a lot of users, you have a lot of devices in there, a Wi-Fi router and some extenders is not the way to go. You really want a professionally installed, professionally planned networking system in your house. It's more reliable, more robust.
Like many things, but the payback's going to be as you're using it.
Yes, it will perform much better than what you can buy on the DIY market.
So a lot of us are likely going to be in the DIY space.
Absolutely.
And probably for a while, and I'm going to guess a lot of us are going to be in the DIY space until we change our living situation or our family situation or people living in our home. Is fair enough?
I would tell you, if you are in an existing home, you have a lot more time to where you can be in a DIY house and use DIY systems. I think, to be fully honest, probably within 5 years, if you build a brand new house, you will not be able to bring in a DIY router. You will not be able to bring in, the Google Mesh or anything like that, because it will be overwhelmed by the amount of products that are going to come with that house that are going to be connected.
Yeah.
It's just going to be too much.
So
those DIY products.
That other podcast that you did, and I'll link it in the show notes, y'all, but Tony was on another podcast that's a real good backup to this one, where they also, at the tail end of the podcast, they had an appliance expert talking about what some of the smart appliances can do. And that just blew me away. Mm-hmm. And this is the kind of stuff you're talking about that is likely to be in most homes in the next 5 years.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And that's
if y'all want to get more depth on this, then listen to this other podcast that I'm going to put in the show notes that Tony did with a builder friend of ours in St. Louis. I can't imagine going to Consumer Electronics Show and seeing all this stuff. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. But that's the thing. for those appliances to be able to do what they're talking about, they have to have access to the internet.
Right.
And you're not hardwiring those. They're living off of Wi-Fi and they're soaking up Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So if you're depending on Wi-Fi for your work at home and your study at home and your entertainment at home, and now you've got everything else in your house connecting to it, that's a lot of bandwidth.
And you know what? We actually, one of the packages we sell to a lot of homeowners during construction, we market it as a virtual education / work from home network package.
Okay.
Because that is truly what it is.
Okay.
If you are reliant on this, this will make sure that your house has Wi-Fi coverage and doesn't necessarily. The only time it goes down is product failure, which happens.
Right.
Or the internet coming into the house stops.
So we'll make sure we get that one in the shop. So if people need to look at that you got it.
Yeah, you can't. Because that's products that the homeowners can't get except through companies like us.
Okay. So we'll have to find other companies like you. And yes, there will be a link to Tony's company in there.
And trust me, no matter what city you're in, there are companies that do what we do all across the country. Every major city has them.
So is there any kind of an association that companies like integrator companies like you have where people can find an integrator in their own city?
Yes, there is. It is called CEDIA, CEDIA.
I'll put that in the show notes too, y'all. And that way you can go find somebody in your neighborhood.
Yeah, they are basically the governing body of our industry.
Okay.
So they handle all of the accreditations, all the certifications. You know, they put on a yearly kind of like International Builder Show,
Conference,
but it's all for custom electronics installation companies, just like us.
So let's wrap this up with 3 things you would recommend the average home dweller, and I say home dweller because it really doesn't matter if you rent or own, might want to start with to start their journey to a smarter, more connected home.
Okay. So number 1, most important thing is put in the best Wi-Fi network your budget can handle and your home can handle. That is absolutely critical. And I understand not everybody can spend a couple $1,000s on a Wi-Fi network. There are some great systems out there that are a few $100s. But I would just tell you, get the best wireless Wi-Fi router or wired, Wi-Fi system that your budget can handle. The infrastructure is the biggest element. And I've said this on, the Art of Customs podcast as well.
You've said it on ours before.
It's all about the infrastructure of the house.
That's the foundation, right?
Yes. This is the backbone of the smart home. Without a good network, none of it works. So it doesn't matter. And yes, I am talking about something better than what your internet service provider is going to give you. And I don't mean to disparage any company, but
it's just the next level.
It is the next level. That is exactly what it is.
When your system is brought into your home, they're not optimizing it for your use. They're just giving you access to the system.
That's all it is.
Yeah. Okay. So what's number 2?
So number 2, to me, I think if you really want to start dabbling into the world of smart home technology without going too overboard, video doorbell.
I don't have one yet. We want to get one.
Whether it's a Ring camera, a Ring doorbell, there are doorbells done by Hike Vision, Claire, Skybell. There's a bunch of them out there. You can find them.
So caveat, y'all and Tony. So like our smart home and security is a proprietary system. So it doesn't work with a lot of these other systems. So if I want to bring in like a video doorbell, I have to have another app on my phone, which we've kind of decided is okay. But just know that, just eyes wide open.
Once again, we're talking smart homes. We're not talking connected.
Not connected, just smart. So I'll have part of it smart and part of it connected.
But the thing is, if you have the video doorbell, you can see deliveries. You can see anybody come up to your front door.
You can talk to us.
You can, yes. They might think you're at home when you're not.
Right.
Because you can communicate through an app. Now, there are some that are hardwired, but there are some that are battery powered. They just stick right onto the door.
I saw that.
Some of them are very easy to install. Some of them are a little bit more complicated, but that's just the level. So if you're not somebody that's very handy, you can get a battery powered one, just kind of screw it right to the house and you're done.
Okay, easy peasy.
It will kick on to the Wi-Fi. You change the battery when it runs out. Very simple.
That may be the Christmas gift I've been missing.
Yep. So that would be number 2. So then for number 3, I would recommend finding out one thing that you think would make your life better, whether it's a couple smart light bulbs that I can put in lamps or fixtures or pathway lighting, or maybe it's the thermostat.
I was going to say the learning thermostat. I loved it. I don't have a learning thermostat. I miss it a ton.
Whether it's Nest, whether it's Ecobee, there's a bunch of them out there. Or maybe it's music. Maybe for you, it's having a Sonos One, and I can have some.
That's Scott's Christmas present.
Okay. But pick one item like that and just test drive it. Doesn't take much. Now, granted, the thermostat's probably going to be a little bit more challenging to install for some people. So if that's the case, if you're not handy, Sonos.
Yeah.
Or light bulbs. They're nice and easy, and you can really start to play with them.
So the one I got him for Christmas. So if y'all haven't figured out, we're recording this for a few weeks before Christmas, but we got the Alexa enabled one. So, because we don't have Alexa in our house yet, because we're not a big house. And we finally decided he started saying it's time for us to go dabble, because the kids have it when we go to visit them and we love it.
Well, the nice thing about the Sonos is they build in both Amazon and Google.
Yeah, it's ready to go.
So you can do either one. Those are what we use in our systems instead of using the actual little assistants or the Echoes. We use the Sonos One because, one, it sounds a whole lot better.
Oh, fabulous speakers. Love them. Love them.
And, they have a great, easy to use app.
And for IKEA buffs, IKEA and Sonos did a partnership. This is my parting aha. But you know how IKEA partners with different vendors? So Sonos and IKEA partnered, and they have this really cool looking picture. So it's an art piece, flat art, and it's a speaker. It's a Sonos speaker that you can put on your wall. They have a lamp. They have a couple of other like kind of everyday things that are Sonos. So there you go. Get something funky and different. So we're going to keep working to do an annual update on this smart and connected home thing, because this is just really snowballing. And I think back to the first one that we did and how much is just inherently in homes and in our lives now. And it's really ramping up.
It's not going to change. It's not going to go backwards. It gets into some scary topics of, privacy and all that. But, that's really more baby boomers, Gen X that have got to wrap their heads around it, because there's a whole bunch of generations after us that this is just normal. Right. They don't even think about it.
My kids are that way.
Yep. Yeah. They don't even think about
it. Yeah.
So what they grew up with.
For all of our mighty listeners, just to put a timestamp on this is our last podcast for 2021. I cannot believe that. And we got some exciting plans in the works for 2022. And we're going to really look forward to sharing that with you. Tony, as always, a pleasure. And y'all be sure to check out the show notes to get links to all this fun stuff that we talked about today. And with that, have a great green end of your year, and we'll see you in 2022. Bye, Tony.
Bye, Marla.
That wraps this episode of the Everyday Green Home Podcast. Get the show notes with all the resources mentioned in this episode, and be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. Ready to get started? Get more information, how-tos, and resources in my private Facebook group, Love Your Everyday Green Home. See you there. And remember that living a little better and a little greener is easier than you think.